won't hear this on the radio.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. Is the price worth it?
The price, we think the price is worth it.
Listen, I really think the media is...
Because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
Could you look me in my eyes and just lie to me?
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
They burn these fucking people alive because the message they want to convey to you is state power will always win.
You're listening to Below the Tension Podcast.
Open up your eyes, 'cause maybe it's our lies. I'm trying to make a break.
How's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining me on this Saturday podcast. I have a huge show lined up for you this afternoon. I have some police state news. I have some Venezuela updates. I have some Gary Johnson news. I have a little bit of foreign policy here. And the big headlining story is about Hillary Clinton and this latest Google controversy. If you have not seen it, you will hear about it today. This show is carried by the Sovereignty Network, a community of journalists and content creators reporting the revolution of the mind. You can see my personal page on their website, sovereigntynetwork.com/belowthetension. This show is also carried by timetofree.us, a new community of anarchists. Comment on this podcast, visit their website, or tweet them at timetofree.us to join now. And I am picking up a third affiliate, voicesofliberty.com, that it was formerly a pet project of Ron Paul. He goes in and creates these organizations, and he kind of moves on. He's still with Campaign for Liberty, but Voices of Liberty, the Ron Paul channel, those are all things that he created and moved on, but they are going to be carrying this podcast as well. So that is big news from my end. And the title of this podcast is going to be Bye Bye Bernie, because as you all probably know, it's going to look like Bernie is going to go ahead and call it quits here soon. They're saying after the Washington, D.C. primaries, and he says he's already vowed to team up with Clinton to beat Trump. Now, there is a move to try to co-opt some of his followers to the Liberty Movement or to Gary Johnson's campaign, which I think overall is probably a good idea because some of those things can coincide with one another. But I think that there really needs to be some caution in bringing some of these people into the fray. Now, I'm going to try to summarize who these people are and then give some of my critiques. There was a guy that was my friend in high school. We did not end up staying friends for a lot of reasons, but one of the things that annoyed me the most about him was his admiration and his advocacy for Barack Obama. And I remember one story so vividly, and this was 8 years ago now, and I did not have any of the persuasions that I do today, but I just had like this raw feeling, this down in my gut, like this is just not right. I didn't know philosophy or any kind of politics behind it. I just had a gut feeling about it. Basically, he was complaining to me. He was working for a landscaping company, and this guy had every advantage in life. His parents begged him to go back to college for free, and they even offered to buy him a car if he just went back to school. Refused. So he was working for a landscaping company, and he would complain to me about how he knows that this guy is just getting, let's just say, $1,000 for this job, and he only gets paid $50, $100, whatever it is, for the day's work or the project over a week or whatever the case may be. This is bullshit. I know he's making X amount on this, and I'm only getting, $100 out of this, blah, 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 blah. This is not right, and this is why, I think that, inequality, whatever he was saying at the time. And that really kind of summarizes the attitude that has been persistent for a long time, but has been quantified within the Sanders campaign. He had no regard for the fact that this business owner, he literally thought that everything he wasn't paying him, the owner wasn't paying my friend, just like went into his pocket, and that was, this guy's just like running to the bank. Had no regard for equipment, repairs, gasoline, advertisement, taxes, any of that overhead. And what I told him is like, if this guy is raking in the cash and you know how to landscape, go create your own company. And that right there, that is the essence of these people. Go out and do it yourself. This guy did it. If you want to make that kind of money and you think that you're getting ripped off, go create your own landscaping company. No. They don't want to do that. They don't want to go out and make their lives better themselves. They want somebody to do it for them. That's really what we're dealing with here. That is a Bernie Sanders supporter. Every opportunity to make those lives better, they're fucking lazy. And that's what it really comes down to. So when we talk about bringing some of these people into the liberty movement or whatever the case may be, I know full well that people can change their persuasions. People do it all the time. But we need to be very careful. I wrote this a few months ago, and it's become relevant again since we are seeing the collapse of his campaign, as I predicted in this little paragraph a few months ago. And it really is a good send-off for this. After the Sanders campaign's inevitable collapse, I do not fear any lingering remnants. Much like Ron Paul's campaign, there will be a large group of followers who are now severely disenfranchised. But unlike Paul, Sanders supporters have no basis in philosophy or economics. They have nothing to cling to except for their entitlement, which has existed far before this election. Absolutely. It's an entitlement nation. It's an entitlement campaign. How can Bernie Sanders pull out tens of thousands of people in rallies in these states, and you look at the primaries, and there's a couple 100,000 voting in some of these smaller states. You go to this state, and at one rally you pull 10, 20, 30,000 people, and let's just say that the state, the Democratic primary, total ballots cast 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. That's 10% right there that went to your rally. In one rally, in one part of the state. Some of these states were won by 1, 2, 3 points, percentages. Where are these people? They just expect this stuff to happen. So as he finally cozies up to Clinton and these people are looking for something, just make sure we take that into account. Bye-bye, Bernie. Now, moving on to the big story here. If you guys didn't see it, it made the rounds on Facebook this last week and got couple million hits. If you have not seen it, go look it up. It's the source-fed video. It's on, I guarantee you it's on their Facebook page. That's where I saw it. And it's about search engine results being altered to be favorable to Hillary Clinton. Earlier this week, an investigative video created news and pop culture website SourceFed went viral, drawing millions of views on Facebook and YouTube. A 7-minute-long video accuses the search giant Google of manipulating autocomplete suggestions to be more favorable to the Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, with some examples of Google differed from those of its competitors Bing and Yahoo. It claimed, for instance, that typing Hillary CRI would result in terms like Hillary Clinton crime reform instead of crimes, or that Hillary Clinton IND would lead to Hillary Clinton Indiana instead of indictment. This is the autofill feature that they're talking about. In comparison, the video noted that autocomplete results for Donald Trump RAC would include racist, and Bernie Sanders SOC yielded socialist. Now, remember that I just said that. The intent is clear. Google is burying potential searches for terms that could have hurt Hillary Clinton in the primary elections over the past several months by manipulating recommendations on their site, SourceFed's Matt Lieberman said. Now, remember that the other two nominees did have disparaging autofills. In a statement to the Washington Times, Google spokesperson said Google autocomplete does not favor any candidate or cause. Google's vice president of product management in charge of the site's search feature further explained that the autocomplete feature will not offer up any derogatory terms in relation to any person. She said, the autocomplete algorithm is designed to avoid completing a search for a person's name with terms that are offensive and disparaging. Oh, they're helping you. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Except that when you search Donald Trump RAC, one of the autofill searches is racist. But that's not the offensive or disparaging that they're talking about. Now, there is pretty solid evidence of Google and Clinton colluding. I just combined colluding and canoodling together. Little Alex Jones moment there. I try to channel him every once in a while. Anyways, so we have this video coming out about the autofill feature. Washington Examiner. This is in March. Clinton emails reveal Google sought to overthrow Syria's Assad with the State Department underneath Hillary Clinton. What? That's just a coincidence. The San Franciscoist. Hillary Clinton emails show weirdly close relationship between State Department and Google. What? That's just a coincidence. This is from October of last year. Julian Assange. Google is Hillary Clinton's secret weapon. What? WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange told an open government conference Thursday that Google is now Hillary's secret weapon. What? Assange was referring to the Groundwork, a stealthy startup funded by Google chairman Eric Schmidt that is providing consulting services to Hillary Clinton's campaign. What? According to Quartz, the Groundwork is a building digital infrastructure like the Obama campaign had in 2012, laying the groundwork, quote unquote, for personalized, data-driven electrical engineering in 2016. While Schmit said that he does not work for the Clinton administration. He does support her campaign. Google has a number of close ties to the Clintons. Assange isn't the first person to raise concerns about the search algorithm stealing a presidency. Harvard law professor Jonathan Zittrain has explored how Google or Facebook could influence an election by customizing search results or news, swinging undecided voters to one side or another. Explored how Google or Facebook could influence. This was October of last year. What did we just have? This big trending news controversy with Facebook shutting out conservative news. What? But I am glad that people are watching these guys. I'm glad that people are keeping these fuckers honest, because how many people, billions of people, use Google a day? How many billions of people are on Facebook? And you think that they're just letting that data just go out into the ether? You don't think they realize what kind of power that they have potentially? That is incredible. So, moving on to a little bit of Gary Johnson news. He had this huge, gushing softball article for Yahoo News, which was a good overall interview. It was a story, and then they had the full video. It looked like they just took the story from the video, and it was really good. I mean, it wasn't a hit piece, but it wasn't totally softball either. It was kind of in between. But the guy was kind of gushing over him a little bit. It was very positive, very pro-Johnson. And I'm going to read a little excerpt out of it. The idea of Gary Johnson for president is a lot less crazy than it used to be. Johnson is already polling 10% after only recently beginning his campaign. If he gets to 15 or higher in most polls, he'll be guaranteed a slot in the 3 presidential debates this fall. And I've been saying that's the crucial number. But the point I kind of want to get at with this article and other things I've been seeing, the mainstream media really paying attention to Johnson. Obviously, it's not a bad thing. He's the closest thing that we have in this election to come anywhere close to anything that we believe. So, kind of how like Julie Borowski or Ron Paul was, or any of those guys, I understand that Johnson is not a hardcore philosophical libertarian anarchist. Got it. Everyone understands that. But if he can keep that buzzword libertarian going out in the media, mainstream media, being seen by millions of people. I saw just this morning, Google Gary Johnson was trending on Twitter. These things, people don't know. They really don't. That's one of the huge things that I am happy that Gary Johnson's saying, that I totally agree with. He's saying a lot of Americans are libertarian, they just don't know it yet, and that's absolutely true. If you go and talk to people, just random people or coworkers or families and friends, and just get a general sense of their politics, it's more along the lines of libertarianism. They just don't know that there's a third option, fourth or fifth or sixth or whatever. But the point I want to make here is, it seems strange that they are paying attention to them, right? Like, we're used to them being shut out and everything like that. And it seems that the media is kind of embracing Johnson so far. I mean, going on Samantha Bee, going on the Colbert Show, all these mainstream interviews, being included on these Fox polls and stuff where he's polling 10+%. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the skeptic in me, the conspiracy theorist in me, the guy that's seen all this backwards shit that the media does, is kind of skeptical. Can't help it. And I know you guys probably are too. So I would just tell everyone to just keep a close eye on that, because I don't know. Maybe the Bill Weld thing, and then plus the Koch brothers. I don't know. Keep a close eye on him. I don't think that just because of all that, he's going to change who he is. He hasn't been a hardcore libertarian, but I don't think he's just going to sell his soul to the devil either. I don't see it, but keep a close eye on him. See how things go. Now, on to my continuing coverage of Venezuela's collapse, the democratic socialist country, the Bernie Sanders dreamland of Venezuela, the place where people are eating out of garbage cans, the place where their currency is collapsing, the place where they can't put food on the shelf, but he can run military drills to thwart off a coup or a military intervention. These situations are just powder kegs. So when we talk about Venezuela, it's very important to make that connection. This is, bye-bye Bernie, this is the ultimate end of democratic socialism. This is it. This is how it goes. So we really need to make sure we drive that home, that point. So Venezuela recall referendum, voters told to come and confirm their identities. Venezuela's National Election Council has ruled that the 1.3 million person petition for referendum to oust President Nicolas Maduro people will need to turn up at regional election offices to confirm their identities. Voters will only have 5 days to check in. The opposition says that the CNE is working in tandem with the government to slow down the process. Absolutely. So you expect people that are digging through garbage for food or starving, have no food, no basic necessities, no toilet paper. You expect them to go to your stupid ass little office and check in within 5 days. And then what after this 5 days? Everyone that doesn't check in, that's all thrown out? Incredible. And here's the thing, even let's just say almost all of those are fraud. The opposition says that there is only needed 197,000 for the first stage of referendum. So you're saying 90% of these were fraud? Get the fuck out of here. But that's what you're dealing with a country like that. That's what people want to turn this country into. A giant, decaying fraud. Now on to some foreign policy, and then finishing up with some big police state news. This, I had to leave it at the last because it's just going to make me mad. But foreign policy, thousands of protesters against drones at U.S. Air Force Base in Germany. Thousands of demonstrators formed a human chain around the perimeter of a U.S. Air Force Base in Germany on Saturday in protest of drone operations by the United States. The demonstration was organized by Stop Ramstein No Drone War, which says that Ramstein Air Force Base transmits information between operators in the United States and unmanned aircraft in places such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, and Syria. Don't forget Somalia. The use of drones is highly controversial in Germany, where an aversion to military conflict has prevailed since World War II. Organizers say that data from the drone's deployment is routed through Ramstein, goes against the German constitution, and wants the base's satellite relay station closed. Yeah, it's called a PPSL, Primary Predator Satellite Link. That's the equipment that they're talking about. The signal is sent through wire all the way from America to Germany, and then it's funneled into the PPSL. It's a giant satellite dish, and it's pointed up to the satellite in space and then back down to the plane, and then vice versa. So they aren't too happy about that. And I'm not too happy about what's going on in this country. These two articles here. DEA wants your medical records to fight the war on drugs. And the other, appeals court, you have no right to carry a concealed weapon. You don't have any rights. You don't have rights to your medical records being private. You don't have rights to your gun. Fifth and Second Amendment. Fuck you. What do you think this is, citizen? The country of America where you're free? Ha! DEA wants your medical records to fight the war on drugs. The feds are fighting to look at millions of private files without a warrant, including those of 2 transgender men who are taking testosterone. But you won't ever hear about this in the trans news. It's all about what bathroom I can take a dump in. But don't worry about the government getting involved in your business and your life and taking your money and your taxes and spending it on bombs and killing people. No. We want to be concerned about what bathroom I get to take a big steamy ass dump in. That's what America is concerned with. And the Kardashians. Marion Jones was arrested for taking legal painkillers prescribed to him by a doctor after a double knee replacement. Jones, an assistant fire chief with the Utah United Fire Authority, was snared in a dragnet pulled through the state's program to monitor prescription drugs after someone stole morphine from an ambulance in 2012. Because someone stole morphine one time, you don't get right to any of your private records. Isn't that great? To find the missing morphine, cops used their unrestricted access. Why did they have unrestricted access in the first place? Unrestricted access to the state's prescription drug monitor program database to look at private medical records for nearly 500 emergency service personnel without a warrant. Jones was arrested along with other firefighters and paramedics on suspicion of prescription fraud. Why is there a drug monitor program database? Why do they have unrestricted access to it? Jones described in tearful detail what happened next. There were 3 police officers pounding on my door for someone who stole morphine a couple years ago. They said they had a warrant for my arrest and they were going to take me in. It was the middle of the day, on my front doorstep, in front of my wife and daughter. They handcuffed me and stuffed me into a police car and hauled me to jail. They hit Jones with 14 counts, felony counts, but later dropped them all. If that story wasn't bad enough as it was, wait, there's more. Now the DEA wants that same kind of power, starting with access to Oregon's database containing private medical records of more than 1 million people. Awesome. You have no right to privacy. The NSA scoops up all your emails and your private data transfers and all your wiretapping and all that kind of stuff. And now you can't have a right to a gun, and you have no right to have your hemorrhoid cream be a personal matter. The government needs to be able to break in to see if you need hydrocodone for your dang knee. Because somebody one time, somewhere, way back when, stole morphine one time. That's what really this is coming to. Because someone did something one time, now everyone has to lose their rights. Go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourself. Go away. Leave me alone. I don't want to be part of this system. I don't want to be part of your fraud. Go away. Leave me alone. I hate you. That's what it's all is about. Because some guy did something somewhere. Some guy laced his underwear with a bomb. Now I have to go through these scanners at TSA. Now all of this. No gun rights. No private communication rights. No medical rights. And people think it's great. People don't give a shit. God, I gotta get out of this country. Okay, I'm gonna calm down. The Obama administration argues that since the records have already been admitted to a third party, patients no longer enjoy the expectation of privacy. A database you have to go into. Now it's not yours, even though we took it, even though you have to submit it. It's yours now. Sorry. Appeals court. People have no right to carry concealed weapons in public. If anyone listening to this lives in California, get out. What are you still doing there? This is insane. Dealing a blow to gun supporters, a federal appeals court ruled Thursday that Americans do not have the right to constitutionally carry concealed weapons in public. Law enforcement officials can place a significant restriction on who is allowed to conceal carry guns. By a vote of 7-4, the court upheld California law that says applicants must cite good cause to obtain a concealed carry permit. So you have to wait until somebody is threatening you. You have to wait until you fear for your life before you can carry a gun concealed. You have to beg for them to have the right to protect yourself. You have to beg the government and show them some kind of good cause before you can take actions to prevent your untimely death or assault or rape or robbery. I'm being assaulted. Hold on. Let me file my paperwork with the sheriff's office so now I have a good cause. It's just getting worse. We hold that the Second Amendment does not preserve or protect a right of a member of the general public to carry a concealed firearm in public. Circuit Court Judge William Fletcher wrote for the majority. Go fuck yourself, William. You don't have a right. The Second Amendment, which is a right, does not give you a right to have the right. Case closed. And what's really troubles me about that is that sets a precedent. That was a federal appeals court. It was for a California law, but now any state that wants to pass that law knows that it won't be overturned by a federal court. Insane. That's all we got, folks. Really, when you come down to it, it all comes down to the First and Second Amendment. Really, the Second Amendment. The first is to say whatever you want, and the second is to back that up if anyone tries to shut you up or kill you. But really, without the Second Amendment, without private ownership of guns, that is the number one thing to preserve. For sure. Okay, I know I went on a little rant there at the end. I appreciate you sticking through. Thank you guys for listening. You can find this podcast on iTunes below the tension. You can find me on YouTube below the tension. You can find me on Twitter at Slav Libertarian. If you follow me, say, hey, I like the show, I heard it on here, I'll give you a follow back. I'll let you know what's up. iTunes, YouTube, and I launched a Facebook page below the tension. Go like, subscribe, share, all of that. Get this podcast out to as many people as you can. So they can get a little bit of education. Thank you guys for listening. This was the Saturday podcast. I will be back Wednesday for some more news that didn't break the tension of the mainstream media. Thank you guys for listening, and have a nice day.